Welcome to 59 Tactical. This is Mike, and today I'm talking about my brand new XDS. Picked this up a couple of weeks ago. This is a post-recall XDS45 3.3. This particular model has 140 rounds through it so far, and I just got this XDS spring kit from Powder River Precision in the mail. I'm going to install that. We're going to do some various polishing, and to install this kit, I think pretty much all we're going to need is a punch set, and I think that's it. I've got a couple of different springs involved in this kit. Got a handy identification chart for said springs. Looks like that'll be pretty handy. And of course there's a warning on the back, says this is only to be installed by a qualified pistol smith. I don't think I'm qualified, but I'm going to install it anyway and void their warranty. Before we get going on that, I did want to talk about my initial impression of this particular pistol. I like it. I think it would be an excellent concealed carry weapon. Unfortunately, I did have one issue with it. It was the out of battery issue, and there's no shortage of information on the internet about this out of battery, but I did want to I think I fixed it. I watched one video where an individual took a piece of spent brass. You notice my loaded chamber indicator is up. There is a piece of spent brass in this firearm. It was for demonstration purposes. This guy took his XDS, and with a piece of spent brass in it, if you push back on the slide just like that and then let it go, if the extractor is too stiff, it won't go into battery like that, just like that, just not very much. And if you let it go, it'll stay there. And what happens is you end up with an off-center primer strike, and it looks like a light strike, but it's this. I actually had one where it failed to fire, and this was the round, and you can see the off-center primer strike there, and it's also not very deep as opposed to this spent casing where it's much deeper. You see the differences there. So this round obviously didn't fire. Caused me some confusion, which prompted me to look it up. I found the video, and how I fixed it was I removed this little guy. I'm sure you can see that. If you can see that, it's the extractor rubber spring, or spring rubber, whatever. There's a spring and there's this piece of rubber. It's apparently not present in the 9mm version, only in the 45. There we go. Slide parts list for the XDS45 ACP. And here's your extractor. There's the extractor pin, 35 extractor roll pin. And that's your extractor spring, and that's the rubber. And I took it out, I lightened it up. The spring itself is still pretty stiff. There's a piece of spent brass there. And you can push on it and still actuate it. It's still pretty stiff. I took it back down to the range and put another 90 rounds through it and didn't have a single failure to fire. And also I noted that my accuracy improved because it was going completely into battery, so my barrel wasn't at weird places when I was taking shots. So that was much needed improvement, made me feel a lot better about a potential concealed carry weapon. Alright, so first up, installing the Powder River Precision XDS spring kit, which I got from Powder River for about 18 bucks, probably a couple dollars for shipping. We're going to start with the with the slide, not the upper receiver, slide. We're going to start with the striker safety spring. So you can, the trigger safety spring is a really tiny one. The disconnector spring and this one look a lot alike. This one's got thicker coils on it, or the diameter of the actual wire is bigger. So we're going to get that striker safety spring, this guy. So the first thing we want to do is to remove the slide from the receiver. So drop the magazine, lock the slide to the rear, rotate the takedown lever up, release the slide, pull the trigger, and slides right off. We'll set the receiver to the side, remove the guide spring, and take out our barrel. And the striker safety spring is the little guy located right under your striker safety, right there. Alright, so what we can do is we can press this down and then press the striker forward. Actually, already was. Press it down, press the striker forward, and that's going to hold that in place. Alright, so we're going to take. Alright, well, I had to change my setup a little bit here. You can see I did get the pin started. What I did is I had to take it actually into my shop, set it up on some 1, 2, 3 blocks here. So this is a very soft, it's just a towel on my kitchen table. So putting that over the top, finding one of those holes, 1, 2, 3 blocks, and setting it up to where I'm not hammering on my sights here. Got the punch in there. We're just going to give it a couple more taps. So we don't want to remove the pin, but we do want it far enough out to where we can remove the extractor. So we're going to press that, pull this out, and then that's going to come out. I'm going to make sure that things don't start flying all over the place. I'm going to kind of rotate this forward. That's going to come right out for us. Set that there. This is the spring, and this is the place where the rubber that I showed you guys earlier, this little guy fit inside of that spring. Alright, so we set the extractor and the extractor spring aside. We're going to leave that roll pin right there, and you can actually see your the striker safety in there, and we're going to go ahead and pull it out. So we're going to put my finger over here to make sure it doesn't come flying out. We're going to pull the striker back. That releases the striker safety and pulls right out. And we're just going to take this spring, stock one, we're going to replace it with the Powder River Precision. Actually going to clean that up before I put it all back together. Alright, so we got that cleaned up for the most part. I'm going to take the new spring, put it right there, it'll hold, and drop it down into where its new home is. Maybe. Make sure the striker is back. There we go. And we're going to push it down in, push the striker forward, and it holds it in place for us. So we turn it back over this direction. It's pretty clean in there. That's 90 rounds worth of stuff. That was through the safety, striker safety there. Place the extractor spring and the extractor correct way. The little hook goes forward. And we're going to put it in like that and just kind of rotate it towards the back so it sits on that spring. And from there, we can kind of press it into place. Now, to make sure the holes are lined up, we can take our pin punch, put it in there, and that holds everything together. Now we'll take our hammer, tap that right back out. I think so. Looks like we may come a little bit misaligned. We're going to hold that down. And there we go. Actually, let me use a slightly larger punch. And those 1, 2, 3 blocks are useful. Nice, there we go. So that's that one. Alright, so moving right along, next thing we're going to do is remove the striker spring and the striker, and we're going to go ahead and polish both of those. Side note, in order to keep myself organized, I took the bag, wrote old springs, and all the old springs that come out we're going to put into that bag so as to not confuse them with the new ones that we're installing. To remove the striker and striker spring assembly, you push that back, and you got this little black collar in here. You reach in there and you're going to press this way. You can press that down, And then with that down, this slide right out like that. Release it slowly. And this whole assembly comes right out the back. There you go. So this is your striker and the striker spring. Let's go ahead and place this over here. I'll put it over here with the rest of the parts. And this little collar right here is what holds the spring in place on the striker. If you just compress the spring, it's something solid. That's really stuck on there. There it is. And don't let that go, because that's, you see that expands quite a bit. So there's our striker spring, and the little collar. I guess we'll just start putting all these parts right here. This little plastic guy, take that off. This is the old striker spring, so we're going to put it in the old spring bag. And we have the new striker spring from Powder River Precision. And we're going to go ahead and polish these two parts. So, got my Dremel tool. And this is a polishing wheel. I think the last thing I polished this was an AR stock trigger. So to smooth it up. So there's probably a little bit of polishing compound. I'm not going to bother using any polishing compound. I'm just going to polish these very, very lightly. You need to pay special attention when you're polishing the striker to the sear surface of the striker. And one of the reasons why you can polish this and it'll improve the quality of it is you notice that when you press, or when you pull the trigger, try to make this go, as you pull the trigger, you're actually pulling back the striker as well. So as you're doing that, and this is going through the striker channel, that being polished is going to help, but also polishing this surface as well as it goes down will also help to take some of the grittiness out of the trigger. Here's our finished polished striker. It didn't take long, and I didn't need to use a very heavy touch with it. I did polish, I spent a little bit of extra time on the sear surface here, and that went to a mirror finish very, very quickly. You can actually see the tooling marks from when they literally cut in the angle on the striker sear surface. So, you know, be careful to not alter that. It's a big deal. But, you know, just a little bit of a shine probably won't hurt anything. Also take special attention to not dull the sharpness of this corner right there. That will change how your trigger feels. And now we'll get started on polishing this guy. Alright, I'm all done polishing the spring. It's important to note, especially if you're going to use some kind of polishing compound. Polishing compound is abrasive, so you're going to make sure that you get all of it off of your parts before you reassemble them into your gun, because you don't want it to be abrading as you're out there shooting. Alright, so those two parts, we need to start with this guy. Then we're going to put striker and plastic part, whatever that's called. We're going to take our polished spring, put it over our polished sear. We're going to compress this spring down to lock into place just like that. We're going to press it down like that. Sorry, I forget you guys are watching. Almost. Compress that plastic piece down. This is ridiculous. Just having an off day. Put the keeper in. There we go. So you get a little bit in. And push it in, it goes just like that. I must have just had too much coffee today, man. Wow. Alright, so that's that. And with that, we are done with replacing the springs in the slide. So we're going to put our barrel back in and replace our guide rod spring. And we're done with the upper. I keep calling it an upper. It's not an AR. We're done with the slide. Time to start on the frame. So I might struggle with this because I haven't actually done this yet. This is supposed to rotate the pin here to the 10 o'clock position and pull out. Wow, that was really easy. And then as I continue rotating it, as you pull it out, I guess to find the sweet spot. Yeah, there you go. That's how that comes out. Then we want to take a punch, and we're going to pop these pins out. That looks like about the right size. So take it there, a little whack, set my 1, 2, 3 blocks apart a little bit there. That one. No idea what's going to come flying out when I pull this. Nothing. Okay. There's that pin. We need a smaller punch for this pin. That looks appropriate. The right spot. Okay. On a side note, I have never taken a pistol frame apart before, ever. And I'm pretty sure stuff's going to come flying apart in just a minute. Alright, the next pin to come out is this one that holds in your sear housing. Get our punch right there. And that one is a little stiffer than the others. That's coming out. Yeah, it's stiff. I wonder if I can just leave it there. Nope. There it is. Alright, so we take out this is called a locking block. That's a lot of parts. And I can take that out. That locks your slide back. And take all of that out. Very carefully lay that down. And then this little guy here interacts with your magazine, so you cannot take down the gun with the magazine installed. Holy crap, dude. That's everything. Except for the magazine release. That is an empty piece of plastic. That will get cleaned very well before I put it back. Alright, so now we're going to disassemble this assembly. We're going to remove the trigger connector bar. And then we're going to remove the grip safety spring. Punch, this thing falls out really easy. Just push that out of the way. And then with that, your grip safety spring, old one, go ahead and put that in the bag since we got a new one with the kit. Old spring bag. And let's see. So we're going to use this one. This is our grip safety spring, our new one. And it's the disconnector spring. Get it out of the bag. Here's our disconnector spring and our sear spring. All our new ones. Okay, we want to take this guy out. This is going our push the grip safety pin out, that's also going to, that's where our sear spring hangs on. So we take that out, and then our sear is going to come out with it. Keep the pin with that. And then we're left with a disconnector. Okay, so the last thing we have to remove is the disconnector spring, which is this one right here. The pin that holds it in is this one, and it's supposed to just fall out on its own. This one appears to be a little bit more stubborn, so you can tap it with the hammer, and it's supposed to come out, but this one doesn't really want to. There it is. You can see that it's got the small side on there. It goes that way. Once that happens, I'm using a pair of pliers here, you can just rotate this spring out. Like that. And there you go. Leave this like that. That disconnector will fall right out. This is an old spring. Go ahead and put that in our old spring bag. And I'm actually going to let it fall out because there's a couple things I want to polish on here. I want to go ahead and polish the sear surface and just kind of do a general, you know, how often do you have the gun torn down this far? So I'm just going to kind of, you know, clean stuff up. Look at that, it's dirty. I like a clean gun. Alright, just got done polishing up the sear, and tell you what, that guy is a mirror shine. It's nice. You can still see the you know, effects of whatever process they used to machine it in the first place. That's all still there, but it's just a lot shinier, and it even feels slicker and smoother. So that's pretty nice. I bet that's going to give it a nice additional slick feel or smoothness to the trigger. So we're going to start putting this back together. And we're going to start with that disconnector. I never took it out. I left it sitting just the way it was in there. I'm going to take the disconnector spring, and on that, fat fingers, we're going to put it there and then kind of rotate it into place. And there's, on the other side, I'm holding the disconnector and the thing, but you can see there's a little notch in there of sorts. I'm pretty sure it's going to, was put there to help us guide this in. So, see how easy it is. Wow, that was a lot easier than I expected. Alright, so yeah, and everything lines up. So the pin that's supposed to hold that in is this little funny looking one. We're going to put that in right there. Fantastic. That went a lot easier than I thought it was going to. Alright, so that's our disconnector. Alright, so now we're going to try and put this mess all back together. So we're going to start with sear. And we got our new sear spring. And these hooks, they both go the same way. Alright, so you just need to make sure you put the hook on this direction. This is the back of the sear. Right, so if you're looking at it with your installed from the top of the gun, it would be like that. And this is going to go in here. That wasn't very difficult. That was actually a lot easier than getting the old one off. So when this goes through the pin, the hook's going to curl around this way. And that would be correctly installed. Just going to leave that there. And we're going to take the grip safety, set it here, punch. That is the wrong size punch. That's also the wrong size punch. Let's try this one. This one will work. Just going to set that there. And then we're going to retract it part way out. So we're just holding one side in. One side of the grip safety. Like that. And then I'm going to install the sear spring. We're going to push that through. So that's how it should look. I'm going to rotate that in. This little guy out of the way. That should go up there. And bam. We're going to install the spring. Just going to pull this up a little bit. And I lost the spring. Need like 5 hands to work on firearms. Get this in there. There we go. I'll rotate that sear into place. And in case you're wondering which pin it is, these two pins are identical. This is the one that came out of this spot. For whatever reason, it's got more wear on it, so I'm going to put it back in where it came out of. Okay, got it. Looks like the spring is just a really tight fit around the pin. So I had it kind of lined up, and I just set it down to 1, 2, 3 block and gave it a little bit of a whack here, which I'm going to go ahead and do again. Just kind of get it all lined up. Not really having to hit it very hard. And once you get that done, you need to get in there and move the spring over. There's a detent. These two pins are identical. Get onto that, move the spring to the center. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take that and set it aside and change out the last, well, one of the last 2 springs. That's the grip safety spring. It's going in a bit. And the trigger safety spring. And get this guy out of the bag. That is one tiny spring. There it is. I'm going to set that over next to the grip safety spring. Kind of designated that my new spring pile. Alright, and that little guy lives in there. So we need to take out that pin. So I'm going to set up on my 1, 2, 3 blocks here over a hole. Size pin punch. This doesn't need to go all the way out. Kind of rather it didn't. So roll pins are a pain in the ass to start. And need to go a little bit further. There it is. You can see that started moving and I could feel it in the pin punch once the roll pin cleared, and this is the only thing holding that in there. So instead of just going and ripping it out, I'm going to compress this, then pull that out, and then carefully release the spring. Just like that. Then we're going to take our old one out, the new one in. And there's a little pin right there that keeps the spring. Compress that. We're going to put our roll pin punch back in just to hold it all together, or to help. Just there. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to work. Set that down. Thought it was going to work. It's worth a shot. There we go. Alright, so the next step is we're going to take the trigger bar, install it into the sear. Maybe I have to press to get it out of the way of the disconnect. I'm going to rotate it, bring it up forward, and that's going to hold the sear in place for us as we install the grip safety spring. Now the grip safety spring, this goes against the sear, and that is going to go somewhere against the actual grip safety. So that would be this pin here, and that's going to go into that hole. If you look at the back of the sear, or the bottom side, I guess, of the sear, you can actually see where that this little slot right there, that's where this flat goes. So we're going to go ahead and put that kind of in place. Like that. Put our pin in. And when I was taking this apart, this is the pin that flew out. Alright, so this little guy here goes above the grip safety pin but below the sear. And then have fun getting all this lined up. So I want that above and that below. Just like that. Alright, so you've got these springs and all these different things, the arm or the leg of the backstrap safety, this guy. It's under the sear, you've got the spring tension on this. Really cool way for you to lock all this into place is to rotate this trigger lever down like this. So it was like that. If you take and just rotate it down like that, you can let go, and you can let go. That's awesome. Alright, so once we've gotten it to this point, we're pretty much on the home stretch. This thing's going to start going back together. So we're going to grab the frame. I'm just realizing I didn't really clean this like I wanted to. Oh, that'd be alright. It's not that dirty. Anyway, alright, so we're going to take this and we're going to lower it into place. Be careful not to move this around. You have to go through and do all that work again. Line the trigger up on the sear housing. Make sure your disconnect pin is still in there. Whoa. Yeah, as I was pushing it in, it rotated on me like it wanted to come out. So, alright, looks like that's in place. Something went click. I hope that was a good noise. And then we're going to put our disassembly disconnect lever in place. The hole is going to line up with the big pin hole, this one. We're going to put our slide stop in place, which also goes around the same hole. And then we're going to put our whatever that's called, that goes in next. Obviously we have something that's not quite lined up here. There we go. Whatever it was fell into place. Alright, we're going to take our little pen. That guy in there. And our trigger pin. See if it goes in. I was shocked. Yeah, there we go. We're going to have to line up our trigger. And it looks like that slide thing needed a little bit of adjustment too. Probably will again. for the sear assembly. Didn't want to go in. Back out. The hole looks like there's no reason it shouldn't have gone in. So let's give it a shot. Yeah, it's just stubborn. Alright, so that's in. And then we put our takedown lever. It's actually really clever. So if you notice this little slot right there, that's made to put up against the spring. And then as you rotate it, it moves the spring out of the way so that you can just push it right in. That's pretty clever. Thank you, Springfield. And then lined up. I don't think I'm doing something right here. Well, almost thank you, Springfield. I really just don't know the trick. It looks like I wasn't doing anything wrong. I just had to push it in a little bit and just magically went in. Alright, so I want the takedown lever to be in the 12 o'clock position, and the trigger needs to be in the rear position, or you will not be able to reassemble it. Put our slide back on. Take that forward, and there we go. That's the Powder River Precision XDS spring kit. Pretty proud of myself for taking that apart, having never taken down a pistol before. I passed a function check, and cycle it, and see. We didn't do anything to change the, the length of pole or any of that, but it definitely feels, I think it feels smoother. Maybe it's just because I did the work on it. It's totally subjective. And yeah, cycle it, and then there's the reset, and then function. Right? Yeah, all the safeties are working. The trigger safety there works. Backstrap safety works. Both of those depressed. The gun fires. Pretty happy with this. For 18 bucks,